The 46th SADC summit is officially underway in Durban as South Africa takes over the regional bloc's chairmanship from Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Leaders have gathered at the Durban International Convention Center to discuss economic integration and resilient industrialization, with infrastructure, agriculture, and mineral resources high on the agenda. President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to emphasize stronger regional economic cooperation and development. But outside the summit venue, tensions are also high. March and March movement protesters are demanding urgent action on undocumented migration and deportations, with demonstrators submitting a memorandum under heavy police presence.
There's something happening in South Africa that I think we need to talk about because the timing is honestly very interesting. So while the SADC summit was taking place in South Africa, the March and March movement also took their protests to the streets. And their message was very, very clear. It is time to fetch your people. Basically, they were directing that message at other African countries, saying that if their citizens are living in South Africa without the proper documentation, then those countries should come and take them back. And this is where the whole thing gets interesting, because at the same time, there has been a lot of conversation around how foreign nationals are being treated in South Africa. President Cyril Ramaphosa had actually expressed concern over the treatment of foreign nationals and even apologized for some of the incidents involving migrants. But March and March, they were not having it. The movement basically rejected that position and argued that South Africa shouldn't be apologizing for enforcing its immigration laws.
So not too far from where the SADC summit is taking place, March in March, the controversial lobby group is also having its anti-illegal immigration protest. Now, as you can see, there's a large contingent of police officers. There's about 200 people here, but there's equally as enough police officers who are ensuring that this demonstration doesn't interfere with the event currently taking place about 200 meters away from here, which is the 46th Ordinary Summit. There's about 9 heads of states from these SADC countries, and one of the placards that are written here is that "Come fetch your people." It's directed to some of the SADC leaders who are currently here in the country, with March and March saying that there's a lot of your citizens who are currently in the country without the proper papers or proper documentation, and that it is up to you as the SADC leader to ensure that when you do leave the country, you leave with some of those people who do not have proper documentation to be in South Africa legally.
We're here today because we're here to hand over a memorandum to the SADC leaders who have gathered here in Durban to make sure that they discuss the issues that we've listed. Mostly it's there are people flocking into South Africa, undocumented, coming into the country, and the minute that they land here, they suddenly have rights that they didn't have in their own countries. So if they want to protect their people from the so-called xenophobia that they're talking about, they must keep their people in their country. And then we can also try and build what we have, because our country is falling apart, you know. We don't have enough resources to take care of everyone. We don't have enough schools, enough hospitals, enough buildings, but we find ourselves having to carry the burden of all of Africa, and it's really, really not fair, you know. And instead of terming the whole thing as xenophobia, it's about time that they have the real conversation, which is why are our people flooding into South Africa, and after having that conversation, make means to take them back.
March and March statement says today, "Come fetch your people, we are heartful," meaning that we are heartful of illegal, undocumented foreign nationals roaming around in South Africa, and nothing gets done about that. So we want all these ministers to know that we are heartful of these illegal people that is roaming around in our country. They must fetch them, take them back, sort their documentations out, and get it over and done with. We had enough.
Police are out in numbers to escort the marchers. I will be marching to Victoria Park to hand over a memorandum. We are out in numbers because when we sat with them in our planning meetings, we were told that there will be around 3,000 of them will be on the street. So as police, we had to make means to ensure that we've got enough numbers to cover the march and ensure that the city is safe as well.
To us, you've decided to stage this protest, obviously to coincide with the SADC summit, while the African leaders are here in Durban.
Yes, good morning. That is exactly what we are trying to do. Unfortunately, we know that we won't be able to get inside, but we can have our voices heard. And we also want to have President Ramaphosa to adhere to our cries, because it seems to us that he's only hearing the other people's cries. And I would actually like to quote something that he said. He said, and I quote, "We are deeply concerned and ashamed that people from other nations were treated badly and even forced to leave the country under the threats and violence." Now, when this occurred, where were you, Mr. Ramaphosa? Where were you? You were nowhere to be found. But now that the African leaders are here, now you want to make your voice heard and say, this is now where the story starts. Nonsense. You should have done that from day one.
But Teresa, maybe to come in there, we did see the president, they pulled the ministers under the security cluster. We saw the ministers from the Department of International Relations, the Minister of Home Affairs. We saw the Minister of Justice. They were on the ground attending to the situation. The president has also, when he's addressed the nation, spoke about a government understanding and hearing the concerns of South Africans regarding the issues of migration. And government did play a huge role in facilitating the repatriation, by and large here in eThekwini, the Malawian nationals, many who voluntarily opted to go back to their country.
Yes, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one, but more needs to be done, because at this given point in time, it seems like the government is for illegal, undocumented foreigners. Why are you not assisting your people in South Africa? Why now you want to come and make a big hoo-ha because of the other African leaders that's here? And also, we get threats, nothing gets done about that. But whenever they get threats, then they are quick to go open cases against us and take us to court. And it needs to end. And
ngizobuyela emuva ngikhulume ngezizathu sokusebela sila ngoba laphaya e-ICC kuhlangene ohulumeni bamazwe lawa awumakhelwane bethu oMalawi, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia. Kulamazwe engiwashoyo khona amazwe angeke azasihluphe. Ngeke uzuze nje kuthiwa umuntu waseNamibia uyaqaluza la. Ngeke uzuze umuntu waseNamibia kuthiwa uyadelela. Never. Awusoze uzwe umuntu waseBotswana kuthiwa nangethuka abantu South Africa social media. Kodwa sinenkinga yamaZimbabweni. Number 1. Bafike bezosidelela ezweni lethu, bese besidelelile bese bethi thina futhi eswrong. Ngeke uthi umakhelwane usuke kwelinye izwe uzoqushisa la ngoba uhulumeni wakhe akanayo lutho akanatwa. Akakwazi nokuprovide isinkwa sokulala udlile. Uphinde masufike la uzodelela athi basidelela ngobani? Basidelela ngoba uhulumeni wethu banika imvumo. Ukume uhulumeni wethu awudelelekile ngoba lapho phansi kwendawo ongagibela eZimbabwe futhi uthuka amaZimbabwe. Akhona yedwa phansi kwendawo yokwenza lokho. Ngoba thina sihlonipha ngisho intuthwane yakhona kodwa thina basidelela. Njalo ekuseni sivuka namavidiyo amaZimbabwe layenza ubugebengu eGoli. Abakwenzi-ke la ngoba bayazi ukuthi isibhaxo siyakhala. Kodwa kuyoze kube yinini sidelelwe amaZimbabwe ezweni lethu. Sibabizile sathi sicela bezolanda i-memorandum la. Ngoba leyo memorandum isho into elula ukuthi it's time ukuthi balande abantu babo. Sikhathele thina manje. Ama-Malawians agegcwele lapha e-drive-through. Kwaphuma yonke inhlobo leSulumane nomlungu beyobanika ukudla. Yonke inhlobo ongayicabanga. Same people ehlele kuthiwa bayazonda by the way. But ama-Malawians bayagijima bayobasiza ngobani? Aniyibuze nje nini. yini engenza ukuthi abelungu laba bangasifuni la namasulumane la abuya athi siyabantshontshela abasifuni begijime beyosiza abantu okuwukuthi abantu bangaphandle
cheap labor
baqhamukaphi bonke labantu bebehleli lapho bebelalaphi bebedlani ubani obebeqashile bebesebenzaphi njengamanje kuthiwa abantu abakhishiwe South Africa baphindisela bawu-200,000 incane kakhulu yonyama incane kakhulu yonyama and uyazi indaba bengahambile abahambile ngoba bakatshelwa uhulumeni ukuthi bahambe bahambile ngoba batshelwe thina abasihloniphi vele thina siyimoto kubona thina basihloniphi thina abantu bangaphandle.
Guys, they didn't stop there. March and March has also set September 30th as a deadline for undocumented foreign nationals to leave South Africa, while warning of what the group describes as mass deportation. Now, obviously, this is where the conversation becomes very sensitive because, yes, every country has immigration laws and people who are in a country illegally can be subject to those laws. But at the same time, we're talking about human beings here. People have built lives, have families, and may have lived in South Africa for years. And that's why this protest is getting so much attention. Imagine SADC leaders sitting down to discuss regional cooperation, unity, and the future of Africa. Whilst outside, a movement is basically saying, before we talk about unity, let's deal with the migration problem. And honestly, I think this is going to be one of those issues that keeps coming back because September 30th is now hanging over the situation. So what do you guys think? Should South Africa simply enforce its immigration laws more strictly? Or do you think the language and approach being used by March and March are going too far? Because this South Africa SADC migration conversation is definitely not finished.